Hello. Hello, y'all. How's it going? Steve's here. Hey, Steve.
Steve's always here. Welcome to Invoke in Pieces.
Thanks for coming, Steve.
Juneteenth.
Oh, Cabernet. Okay, y'all. I need a drink. I'm not ready. Yeah. You know.
Somebody else start the show.
Y'all say stuff. I gotta get a beer.
I don't think there's been ever an Invoke in Pieces or any of our streams that hasn't started with Nick going, "Hey."
Hey, that's true.
We need your catchphrase, Jeff. Though we're still workshopping it.
We're still workshopping that.
What's the catchphrase for today?
No,
you gotta wing it, man.
This is Invoke in Pieces, the only online show every Friday where you may bask in the smorgasbord of musical prowess.
Smorgasbord is the word of the day.
This is the word of the week.
God. Can you spell it though? That's the question.
Smorgasbord, SMORGASBORD, I think.
Is it really that simple? There's
I
no
think so.
a weird AU in there.
I don't.
Smorgasbord.
Well, see, that's what happens
Great
when.
and powerful smorgasbord.
Oh my God, Betty Scott's here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Betty.
Betty.
How's it going?
Thank
you for tuning in.
Well, in addition to being Juneteenth, it's also a celebration in Invoke world because it's Jeff's birthday.
Hey.
Hey.
We should probably play and or sing Happy Birthday poorly over Zoom, right?
Okay.
Oops. Yep.
You want to test latency again?
I'm gonna play it on the nickel harpa.
Here, yeah, you do that. I'm just gonna sing.
Just gonna sing. Oh, nice.
No, actually.
This was obviously.
Play my new favorite instrument, the flower pot.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
play
Steve. Oh yeah, the pot. That's funny.
Starting on
G, starting on D.
Sure.
All right.
And
Key.
I'll count off in 6. No, in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey.
You know, like for something that's out of time, that was like pretty, at least on my end. I have no idea how it came to the stream, but it sounded like pretty reasonably together.
It was decent. It was decent.
Yeah, it's as
There was a moment in there where it was really tight between you two. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, we
Well,
had
you were
harmony.
kind of the free dance, but in sonic form.
Yeah,
kind of
that
going
was
on over there.
that was awesome. That was
What was
great.
about that?
That was one for the ages.
It's the birthday
Grass
song of your
Walrus
dreams.
says, Grass Walrus says, it's the birthday song of your dreams, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And I am also sure.
yeah.
As ne'er before was a better rendition rendered as just then.
Should we change the word of the word of the week to the only place where you can get rendered renditions of the best rendered musics?
The most highly rendered renditions.
Which word? That's like a sentence.
Well, I know, but I'm changing the word to render, and I used it in a sentence.
Oh, I see.
You know?
We have to kill a lot of
Anyways,
time because we
thank
got
you.
very short sets tonight. So
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I am one
Anyway.
less step at the baby.
happy
I'm still the
birthday,
baby.
Jeff. And happy
Thanks.
Juneteenth, everybody. We are again accepting donations for the Austin Justice Coalition, either through us or directly through austinjustice.org, which is at the bottom. Let me point with the right hand over here, austinjustice.org, or through our website, invokesound.com/contributions. And we're again playing all music by Black composers. And I'm starting, right?
You are.
This is scary because I'm going to be playing the bass. And not only am I going to be playing the bass, I'm going to be playing the bass line of a very good bass player's song. Hopefully that makes sense. It sounds like I'm drunk, but I'm not. I literally just started drinking, as all of you know. So let me switch over the things here. There we go. I need to set this up here. I'm going to be playing a
We
song.
might have lost you there, Nick.
What? I'm still up. Y'all just won't hear it through Zoom. I'm going to be playing a song by Esperanza Spalding called Cinnamon Tree, and it's one of my all-time favorite songs, and it also has a super juicy bass line. The original plan for this portion of the stream was I was going to essentially do a cover of the song, but I got so caught up learning the bass line that I A, ran out of time, and B, thought I couldn't possibly do the song justice just playing or doing a full cover. So what I'm going to do is play the bass line along with the song on my modified fretless bass, Dean Edge $100 piece of junk bass that I ripped all the frets out of when I was in college. So this used to be a fretted bass, and I ripped all the frets out and filled them with wood filler, and now it makes a passable fretless bass. And I love the sound of a fretless bass, always have, and this is one of my favorite fretless bass lines. And it's called Cinnamon Tree. And I do have to adjust the camera a little bit, so bear with me for a hot second while I do that. All right, Cinnamon Tree by Esperanza Spalding and Company. And my dearest apologies to the recording engineer. To make sure that my bass part is heard, I'm actually kind of EQing the low end off of the original. And so sorry to both Esperanza and whoever made this amazing mix. for me ruining it by doing that.
Cinnamon tree, graceful and free. They meet just once in a while, but the spice in your smile is magic to me. Cinnamon tree, wise and sturdy. Your roots are firm in the ground to soak up what's around and make sweet seasoning. Please rub off on me, so I carry a little of your auburn hue for spice when days are dull or dreary. You bend your bows towards me. Times I'm weak and need someone to turn to. You share your flavor, ease my misery. Oh, how you give all that you are, and just keep on growing. Your fragrance lives in all who know you. Cinnamon tree, graceful and free. We meet just once in a while, but the spice in your smile is magic to me. Cinnamon tree, wise and sturdy. Your roots are firm in the ground to soak up what's around and make sweet seasoning. It still amazes me. I just think of one stirring conversation with you, and my cup is filled with new infusions. And like your honesty, in the midst of over-sweetened chatter, your earthly taste adds real perspective. Oh, you give all that you are, and just keep on growing. Your fragrance lives in all who love you. Cinnamon tree, graceful and free. We meet just once in a while, but the spice in your smile is magic to me. Cinnamon tree, wise and sturdy. Your roots are firm in the ground to soak up what's around and make sweet seasoning.
All right. Well, that happened. Thank you all for that. And thanks to my fingers, I actually didn't get any blisters, even from playing the bass more than I ever have in my life over the past few days. Esperanza is an amazing bass player, and you should listen to the original song so you can get a feel of what her bass line. I tried to do as close to the original as possible. There are a couple of licks that maybe I attempted and didn't quite make it, but she's an amazing bass player, and I learned a lot by learning that.
Dude, that was smooth.
You know what I'm saying?
That bass sound great. Is that just that's just the bass, right? That's just the bass that you're using.
Yeah, that was just the old Dean Edge bass. So I used to, the reason I have this is I used to work at a music shop called Middle C Music in Washington, D.C. And we sold, we could get like discounts on stuff. So this is like one of my first ever instruments that I bought. Now I have quite the collection. But these instruments are like famous for being very bright colors. So often you'll see like Dean Edge in like hot pink or that neon green, good stuff. But yeah, that was a fun project. I'm a tinkerer by nature, so I really loved it. It might have been, it was around the time I was listening to this album a lot. That album is Radio Music Society, which I think is her third album. And her earlier stuff is a little bit more like experimental jazz, and that one definitely has more like soul, funk, like rock elements to it, which then is kind of like what seems to have made her like super, super popular, is that type of stuff. But obviously she's like an amazing jazz bass player, and that album was like the transitional period from like more like trio jazz stuff to like bigger band rock things. So yeah, Radio Music Society, super cool. She's amazing. And she's a great bass player, and that was fun. So now what are we going to do? I think Carl's going to play, right?
Yes.
That's me.
Alrighty.
Cool. So, once again, welcome to Invoke in Pieces. This is the show every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, where Invoke splits into 4 different people and plays solo sets during COVID-mandated lockdown. So my set's a little sad, so I apologize in advance for that. But I was digging around for stuff to do this week, and I came upon the song Alabama by John Coltrane. And I'm not going to play the whole thing because, firstly, it's just me and the viola. And secondly, I could never play full John Coltrane. It's just too great. I will, however, attempt to emulate his intro, and there's a specific reason for that. The intro to the song Alabama was actually written, the whole song was written 3 months after the 16th Street bombings at the Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, in 1963, where 4 young girls were killed. And John Coltrane wrote this piece after being inspired by hearing Martin Luther King Jr.'s eulogy that was delivered in the church sanctuary 3 days after the bombing. So the song itself, the intro, is actually sort of a musical emulation of the way he delivered the speech. And it's really, really cool, really powerful. It almost feels like, when I'm playing it on this versus with the piano and drums in the back, it almost feels like more of a chant, very sacred. So I wanted to play that because I think it's very special and it's very beautiful. And I'm opening with that and then going to go right into this really beautiful Adagio in F-Minor by a guy you may or may not have heard of named Joseph Boulogne, or Le Chevalier de Saint-Georges. So he had 2 different names. Joseph de Boulogne was his given name, his slave name, because he was born a slave. His father was a plantation owner. His mother was slave that belonged to that guy's wife. Now, Joseph was fortunate enough that his father sent him away to Europe to actually study music and also fencing. So this guy was actually, he's been called the Black Mozart, although I'd say that his music kind of stands in a class of its own and really deserves to be heard more. Even just in my brief dive into some of the stuff I've been hearing. So he's actually not just a really, really great composer, he was also a world champion fencer. He's was a virtuoso violinist, and during the French Revolution, he was actually a colonel fighting on the revolutionary side and part of the first all-black regiment to ever exist in Europe. So this guy was crazy. Really cool life. Karl Stamitz commissioned several works for him. A lot of the big composers of the time wanted him to play their stuff. So it's really, I really hope that we see more of his music getting played in the future. So I arranged his Adagio and F-Minor for piano for viola. So we'll see how that goes. Once again, I've maybe bit off more than I can chew. So this is the Intro to Alabama by John Coltrane and Adagio and F-Minor by Joseph de Boulogne, Les Chevaliers de Saint-Georges. And I think I'm coming through. There we go. Perfect. Double check. Hey, okay. Hey, thanks, Annie. Yeah, it's a really, really crazy story. I hadn't heard any of the stuff about him. I knew he existed, but I didn't know anything about his life and career really before approaching the piece. So yeah, it's been really educational for me to also get to know some of his stuff and listen to it. He actually wrote the piece that. So if you guys are familiar with the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante, which is the famous violin viola concerto that he wrote, this guy Joseph de Boulogne, he actually wrote the piece that inspired Mozart to write the concertante. So there's this piece out there, this concertante that Joseph de Boulogne wrote, that's actually that Mozart looked up to and admired so much that he wanted to write his own. So it's kind of funny now that we have the concertante, but unfortunately this guy's piece didn't really hasn't really received the same credit or playtime that the concertante did. So yeah, he's really cool, and I look forward to playing more of his stuff. Sexy stuff. Thanks, Luis. Yeah, there's some hard licks in there. It's funny, as the more I wrote it out, it's in F minor, so it's kind of a pain. But it really does feel like a really difficult Bach by the middle of it. This always tends to happen when you start to take piano music and try to put it onto stringed instruments. So maybe I'll do this one up for the quartet. We'll see in the after COVID times.
That's hard. I don't know about that.
Well, if 4 people are playing it, then it's not as bad.
Yeah, true that. That was
I was
good.
doing all kind
That
of
was
like
awesome.
monkey business. Thank you.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And I think I'll. Oh, by the way, so if you feel like you want to donate, for anyone that's tuning in now, just in case, all the proceeds tonight go to the Austin Justice Coalition, AJC. Either you can donate to them directly, or you can donate through Invoke Sound, and we will be donating all the proceeds we receive tonight to them to support the Black Lives Matter movement. And with that, I think I'm going to sign it off to Jeff.
My mom asked,
he is ready.
how'd you find that piece?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it there. Yeah, I actually, Haley and I, my girlfriend Haley and I, were talking about this guy and Joseph de Boulogne, and about the Sinfonia Concertante, and how Mozart was basically ripping him off. It's a great piece, but he was basically like, oh, here's a piece that I really like, I'm going to write the same thing. And so that really intrigued me, because I was thinking about, I was looking up a lot of jazz artists and a lot of like black film composers, and then I was like, you know what, let's see if this guy has anything for solo instrumentation. And I had trouble finding stuff. A lot of his music is under one publisher, and it was like 2 to 3 weeks to ship. But then I found this Adagio, and there wasn't actually sheet music, so I just transcribed it by ear. But it was just so beautiful, just listening to the recordings of people playing it. I was just searching on YouTube, honestly, and it really grabbed me because it's just very. It sounds like, honestly, to me, like one of my favorite solo piano things I've heard. It's just so neat. But yeah, I really like it.
Can you transcribe that by ear?
Yeah, I found the first page somewhere and just like looked at it, but it was slow, so it wasn't too bad to do. It's when things are really fast. But Florence Price was a little trickier. This this was pretty easy. I feel like I'm really stretching out the arranging chops with all of these shows. So
you started with the Coltrane, right?
I did. So the John Coltrane, Alabama, I actually was looking at protest songs. So this is like how I went down the rabbit hole looking for stuff for this week. We're focusing on social justice, specifically in regards to Black lives in America. And so I was like, well, what are some songs that were written in the 60s about the civil rights movement and what was going on? And when this one started playing, when I was listening to Alabama, I never really listened closely to the intro, but once I learned that it was based on MLK's speech, that was like, I thought that was just super cool, because when you listen to it, it almost sounds like a Gregorian chant, but it's off of his speech pattern, which is like, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, I have
cool
to go.
idea.
I don't know that Coltrane very well, so I have to go back and listen to it. But it was like so seamless, the transition into the second piece, that like I couldn't like really tell where it was, which is awesome.
That's good to know. Yeah, it was the actual song goes on to a much more militant, not militant, but like driving. The way that Coltrane described it was the first part is reflective and sorrowful, and then the next part is much more traditional jazz, straightforward, and it's meant to be kind of like a call to action. So the whole song itself is wicked cool. Like it has this really neat progression. So it reflects, and then it kind of asks what we need to do next, which is crazy to think that even today we're still asking these questions, and this was written in 1963.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really poignant.
Well, I think it's cool that, like, I don't know, I'm pretty inspired by, because you're playing, like, you're going from Coltrane to Joseph Bologna. I cannot say his last name.
Dude, I probably butchered it. I apologize to anyone that speaks French.
But I think that's like, so not to sidetrack, but I think we have 2 minutes, so I'm gonna get on a soapbox and say that it's important for musicians to be thinking like, not just like what's in your canon, and people have been asking like, how do I find music and what do I do? And I think what you're doing is really cool. You're going to what you like to listen to, and you're making it work for you. So if he doesn't have music for solo viola, you're like, okay, I'm just going to transcribe this piano piece, and like that's still important because then now his music is getting played. People are intrigued, realizing that Mozart isn't like the sacrosanct genius that everyone makes him out to be.
Well, he wasn't the only one, at least.
Yeah, that's what. So it's just So I think it's really cool, and I think it's important for all of us musicians to just like lean into all of the talents that we have to make this work happen.
For sure.
As quickly as possible.
It's funny that you talked about protest songs, because that was my original idea for this week was to do some protest songs also. And so I also went down the rabbit hole, and it was interesting because, so many of the classic protest songs that we think of immediately are, first of all, by white people, and second of all, related to war and like international conflict and those sorts of things. But a lot of the songs that I found were actually more contemporary stuff, the ones that at least spoke to me as is related to like the current movement and everything that's going on. The songs that really stuck out to me were the ones that have come out in like the past 10 years, that, like you said, they're saying some of basically the exact same things that, that a lot of the great civil rights leaders of the 60s were saying, but just through a totally different medium, like some like Kendrick Lamar stuff I discovered Joey Badass. If you don't know him, his stuff, like, so he's got a goofy name, but some of his songs are like very intensely relevant. And so obviously I felt like I couldn't really like approach that material. You know, I was looking for like, 60s era protest songs. But the stuff that I found that was super powerful, I was like, okay, I'm not going to touch that. So I ended up a different path. But it's crazy to see some of the parallels between like the protests of that time and like some of the stuff. And I'm sure there were black artists that were making music like that at that time who just didn't get quite as famous. But now that stuff like hip hop is more mainstream, they kind of have that outlet to approach that, to have like artistic expression about the current events that maybe was a little bit suppressed during the 60s. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anywho, Jeff, you want to...
Shall we get back to rendering?
Yeah, let's get
render.
some...
Shall we render?
Let's bring the renditions back. Here we
Word
go.
of the day is render.
Well, I'm gonna take a bit of a left turn or a right turn, or I don't know what those mean necessarily, but I'm gonna take a turn, and I have a special for those of you who've been following my whiskey adventures, which only exist here. There's no other YouTube channel, but maybe there should be. I have a special bottle of whiskey that is aged for 26 years, which is the year that I am today, coming in the mail, but it like from Germany, and it just it's not here yet. I was planning on having it tonight on the stream with all of you, but I do have a bottle that I saved up for an occasion that I did not know. I had the bottle and I was sitting on it, and I wasn't quite sure when I was going to open it up, and this seems like the night to do it. So let me go ahead and do that. This is a bottle of Oban, 18-year-old. The more famous bottle by Oban, or Oban, I think. Oban is how you say it. Is the 14-year, which is a delicious beverage. And I got this during one of our local Twin Liquors dollar sales. A little bit on sale. Could save a little bit money. That's good. It's got a nice dark hue. I'm excited to crack this and explore it a bit. And maybe one of the future weeks, or as soon as I get that 26 year in the mail, I will distribute some samples to my colleagues, and we'll have it on the following stream. Because why not celebrate a couple of different times? So that can be my birthday scotch, and this can be the Juneteenth scotch. Oh, that was a nice sound. Doing this while not dropping the cello is interesting. Glad the cork didn't break. So it's 43%, 18 years, pretty delicious West Highland single malt. That is nice. A little bit of buried smoke, but mostly it's just kind of like a dark golden honey sweetness and definitely flowery fruit notes. So cheers, everyone. That is a very approachable whiskey, and I will enjoy it and distribute some samples later. All right, where's my bow? Now for some music. I was in the middle of the night last night, still without something to do, so I was like frantically looking around, and I discovered, because of his interesting name, how'd that render? Yeah, it was quite good. because of an interesting name, this composer, who happened to have a suite for solo cello, which is awesome. So the composer's name is Chad Hughes, otherwise known as Sir Wick, like Sirwick. Chad Hughes, Sir Wick. I'm not exactly sure how he got that name. I tried to look it up, but he, yeah, and thankfully he had some sheet music on his website for download, one of which was his first suite for cello. So I'm going to play 2 of the 3 movements of that tonight. And this first suite, he writes, was written for Professor Anthony Elliott. So Sir Wick himself is a Michigan native and attended the University of Michigan. And I think he was a trombone player, but he developed a relationship with Anthony Elliott, who is a notable African American, or let's just say black, because I'm not exactly sure his heritage, black cello professor at UM. And I actually met him once, spoke with him. He's a nice guy. And Sir Wick writes, after I fell in love with Bach's cello suites, especially the C major Bourrée, which I'll play a few seconds of. Glad I remember all the notes, which is that's an awesome movement. So he fell in love with that, and in conversation with Professor Elliott, Sir Wick was asked to write some cello suites. So he decided, of course, to model his work off of the Bach, and this first suite is in C minor, and the third movement ends in E flat major. But I'm going to be doing the first 2 movements, which are both in C minor. So a little bit dark, but there's definitely a lot of Bach influence in this music, counterpoint, and some fun chords, and interesting modulations, kind of just slam you in the face. All of a sudden, we're in a different place. But I thought it had some character, and we'll see what you all think. So this is the first suite by Sir Wick, or Chad Hughes, for solo violoncello, and I'll be doing the first 2 movements, a minuet and the courante. I'm going to switch over the things. All right, somebody tell me if they can hear me. Woohoo! get my headphones back on. So simple, little vignettes, so to speak, and I liked them. So I hope you did too. Let me get back to this chat and turn myself off in my own ear. Ah, that is better.
Not bad for a night's work.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice job.
yeah. I downloaded that at like 2:15 this morning or something. I was like, oh, the jig is hard, but I can play 2 out of 3 movements. Thanks,
That was cool.
Andy.
That was cool. I was looking on well, I already forgot his name. Sir
Wick.
Wick. Yeah, I was looking on his website. It seems like he's got some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I almost, because it was free temporarily at least, I almost downloaded some sheet music of like, I think he's a band guy mostly, and he, I think, had available for purchase, or for download for free, like some band warm-ups
Oh, cool.
based off of stuff that he had maybe done as he was, growing up in ensembles and stuff. But I decided that if I was going to do that, well, I don't need, they're band warm-ups, they're not music, and arranging them, I don't need to arrange this. So, maybe later. So anyway, yeah, Speyside Scotch, yes, I do love the smoky stuff, but I will drink absolutely anything, and this stuff is glorious. 18 years. I don't know how long I've had this, maybe a couple of years now, though.
Whoa.
I just needed like an occasion to open it, and not having the bottle that I wanted to have is enough of an occasion, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Ah, what is that wicked cello looking crossbow thing? I wish it were a crossbow, that'd be awesome. But it is in fact the electric cello that Austin Chamber Music Center graciously has given to us on loan without current end. Whatever the term is for that is escaping me.
Indefinite loan.
Indefinite loan, yes.
It's like you have a Stradivarius from some society.
Right, but this is not that.
But it's not that.
Yeah.
You could. How many of those do you think you could get for one Stradivarius? You
It
could fill
depends on
that
the
entire
Strat.
room with those,
Oh, yeah.
floor to
You could
ceiling,
probably
wall to
fill
wall.
up. You could probably fill like several buses with those.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you could buy about 1,000 of those.
Oh, damn.
I want to do this math now.
And that's not like a bad electric cello either. That's like
No.
it's a decent
It's
instrument.
a pretty decent one.
Oh, you guys already answered that for me. Good job. Teamwork. Once a night owl,
Makes
always
the
a night
dream
owl.
work.
Well, that's true, but like right now, it's like I'm
Jet's really a
almost
night
full
owl.
nocturnal. Full nocturnal. My awake hours are like between like noon and 2 in the afternoon and like 5, 6 in the morning. So this is like nap time for me right now.
It's
an
only
afternoon
noon.
nap.
It's only noon on or 2 on Sundays because you need to play D&D with us. That's
Yeah.
That's exactly
and we started
right.
too.
Yeah, I'm eating my breakfast and rolling into D&D. Quarantine does weird things to people. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy some more of this. I did also find... I guess I'll talk about the video that we're going to show later.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I see
but
what you're saying.
yeah, we'll talk later.
But I'll talk about it. But I'll talk about it later also.
We'll talk about it later. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Words. Clarity.
All right. So, if you're just joining us, this is Invoke in Pieces, where each of the members of Invoke presents some sort of musical offering, a rendering this week. And all of if you like what you're hearing, you can feel free to donate. All of the proceeds from tonight, we're going to donate to the Austin Justice Coalition, which is an awesome group that works here in Austin, Texas. And you can either donate to us directly, and we'll be sending that money onward, or you can just head over to Austin Justice Coalition and donate there. I think there's a scrolling bar that you can look at. Tonight, I'm going to read a poem by Langston Hughes, who I'm just now getting into, and is a really powerful, 1920s through the 60s Black American poet. If you were joining us last week, there was a little, we showed a little clip, Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And there was part of a poem in there that was by Langston Hughes that I recommend going reading. But I'm going to read another one before my musical contribution, which is actually, I'm sitting in this chair because I don't have to do any work because I already did it beforehand. I'm going to be, I basically took a string quartet piece by a friend and composer of ours, Jonathan Bingham. It's the third movement from his string quartet. It's called Diamond. And I actually played it on his senior recital, which was a lot of fun. It's still one of my favorite pieces today. We played it again as a group for a charity thing that John was running in New York City. And it had been on my mind as something that maybe would be cool for Invoke to do, but then I had the idea, maybe I'll just do it myself. So I played all the parts. I borrowed Carl's extra viola, and it's pitched down to hit the cello notes. And so before that, I'm going to read a poem by Langston Hughes that he wrote in college as well. And it's called Theme for English B by Langston Hughes. The instructor said, "Go home and write a page tonight, and let that page come out of you, then it will be true." I wonder if it's that simple. I am 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem. I went to school there, then Durham, then here to this college on the hill above Harlem. I'm the only colored student in my class. The steps from the hill lead down into Harlem, through a park. Then I cross St. Nicholas, 8th Avenue, 7th, and I come to the Y, the Harlem Branch Y, where I take the elevator up to my room, sit down, and write this page. It's not easy to know what is true for you or me at 22, my age. But I guess I'm what I feel and see and hear. Harlem, I hear you. Hear you, hear me. We two, you and me, talk on this page. I hear New York too. Me? Who? Well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, and be in love. I like to work, read, learn, and understand life. I like a pipe for a Christmas present, or records, Bessie, Bop, or Bach. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks like who are other races. So will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white, but it will be a part of you, instructor. You are white, yet a part of me as I am a part of you. That's American. Sometimes perhaps you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you, but we are, and that's true. As I learn from you, I guess you learn from me, although you're older and white and somewhat more free. This is my page for English B. And that's the poem by Langston Hughes. Highly recommend going and looking up his story. Really fascinating life. It was funny. I was reading this poem, and he says that he was born in Winston-Salem, but then I was trying to do some more research, and he was born in Joplin, Missouri, and so but it has good dramatic effect. And I was just tracing his life, and he went from Joplin to Ohio to Illinois to Mexico to Columbia and New York, and it was a really just interesting life and some really powerful words about his life in America at that time, which seems to really resonate today, and it's almost 100 years later. So it's just something to be thinking about. It's important to look back in history, read, listen, watch, because all this stuff is going to keep happening unless we decide to do something about it. So anyway, on to some music, and I'm guessing Nick can hear me, but so this is going to be Jonathan Bingham's third movement from his string quartet called Diamond, and played by me. and take it away, Zach.
Nice. Good stuff, man.
I guess I'm probably back by now. I'm kind of living in the past.
Good stuff. Yeah, sorry, I should have given you a second. But you look very pensive, so, you know.
Well, that was the first time I actually watched it all the way through. I kind of like rendered it and then didn't. I like lined it all up correctly and trimmed off the ends. But watching things in DaVinci can be kind of disheartening because I know that it's true, but sometimes it just, even in the app itself or in the program, when you press play, it's like taking a hard time to like actually process everything. I knew that it would look right in post, and then instead of watching it after I rendered it, I just went and made bread.
Well, you got to brag about that bread now because it looks dope.
Is it still there? Do you
No,
still
I
have?
took it upstairs.
Oh.
Oh,
Um,
well, take my word for it. It looked real good.
It was good.
it
It's tasty.
tastes really good too.
It's tasty looking.
But yeah, it's a. Go check out Jonathan's music. We're gonna be. I don't know. I haven't talked to you guys about it, but I think it'd be cool to try to maybe work through some of the new piece that he has written for us for our newest American postcard.
Yeah.
Like, separately.
Kind of like a virtual one. That's a lot of work.
But it shouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
We'll need to talk with him about that
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
premiere.
true.
He also said he might be open, because I told him we're starting to get some like online concerts, and he said he could be game for like a virtual premiere. So we were supposed to premiere his piece back in April, but y'all know what happened. So now all of our concerts are canceled for the year.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out a way to get that piece out there because we read it exactly one time and it blew our freaking minds, and then we've never seen it again because we basically didn't see each other after that. So
Yep.
oh well. So hopefully we'll get a chance to check it out. It's called what is it called? The Lessons of History.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll put that blog post. He wrote an interesting blog post about the process of writing the piece and his inspiration for it. So let's see if I can find it, and I'll throw it in the chat if you want to study up before the big premiere.
Some question. Mendy has some questions, and if anyone is curious, so yeah, I was saying in the comments, I used Reaper, which is practically a free software. I think it's like $60 for the whole deal, but you can literally evaluate it forever as like a test software.
I'm currently still evaluating.
I am evaluating.
Yeah, I
It
think
too.
Nick's the only one who's actually bought the license. But
Yeah, I've been
we're
using it for like
enough that
15
maybe-
years, so, and I've paid all of $60, so well worth the investment if you ask me.
And then I used DaVinci Resolve, which is a free software. I think the premium software is basically just for if you're like collaborating with other filmmakers. So if you're like me, a recluse, and not collaborating with anybody, then it's perfect. And they're kind of complicated to use. Like they look complicated, but once you figure out how to use the tools, they're very powerful. So and they're free. So highly recommend looking into that. I recorded, basically I picked the tempo and made a click track in Reaper, and then recorded the viola or the cello line first. Then I actually all of those, the viola line, the cello line I did twice, and then every other one was just a single. I didn't have time.
When did you start?
Well, I got the viola on Wednesday, and then
Oh, that's right.
I recorded everything Wednesday. No, wait.
Ah,
No, I got the viola yesterday, and I recorded everything yesterday morning, which is why you might hear some hammering sounds because there was construction on the house.
towards the end, yeah, I think I
Yeah.
heard that. I was like,
And
is
I
that the
just-
click?
I just was like, I don't have time. It was going to be noisy at all points of the day, so I just decided to go with it. So each one was just kind of a single take, layered on top of each other. And I've
Nice.
played that piece a lot, so there's a lot of backhand work that went into that one. So
Sure. How'd you make the click?
it just on Reaper you can just click on the make a track, and then you click on item properties, and there's a thing that says insert click source.
Yeah, I just didn't know. It sounded like you were doing a bit of, Ritz and
Rubato.
stuff.
So each one, it's nicely split into two sections. So I just recorded the first section, and then stopped, and then basically started another portion of it to basically just moved the click over and just did it again. So, and actually, that's the I knew this to be true based on Invoke's practice habits, but if you play everything to a click anyway, rubato sometimes is overrated. So. Actually, everything is basically to a click. There was a couple Ritz, but I didn't actually do them. So it's just well written in the music, so it sounds like it anyway. So
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. A
Jonathan
lot quicker
Bingham,
than what I did.
side note, I think part of the reason that that works out that way is he also does some film scoring, and film scoring is often like done that way, where like where you'd see a fermata normally in music, it's like a bar of 7/4 because it has to be exactly 6 3/4 seconds long to like match the film. So film composers get good at doing that, like having stuff be very strictly in time but sound free, so that they can match the film.
Sometimes it makes playing it very difficult, though.
Yeah, true. You got to
done
be on your
VCFA.
toes. It's kind of like playing opera.
Trying to match like the exact spot that a droplet hits the water.
Oh yeah.
It's like, actually, it's not quite the 3rd 16th note of the 4th beat. It's like a triplet, like 30-second after that. Just watch the thing.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done a lot of playing for, short films and animated films and stuff like that. And a lot of times you see the score and it looks like kind of crazy new music. There's like a and of this and then a lot of rests and then a weird note in like a 6/8 bar, but it's just that. It's like somebody hits a hammer and you got to go blunk.
Right on it. Yeah, it's fun though. It's worth it. You gotta make the art match the other art. Anyway, we're gonna end with another video, but something that none of us put together. In my searches last night, and in the days before as well, came across a couple of themes, and I rediscovered my intense appreciation and respect for gospel music, because gospel players are amazing musicians, and there's it's kind of insane. I think Carl, you and I were on this gig somewhere in like Greenbelt back in DC, and we played at this church, and it was like many hours long, but the music that was being made was like some of the most awesome stuff that I've been a part of, just because all the players are just feeling it, and there's all these like really gorgeous grungy like passing chords and tonicizations of certain other things, and
those old school church organs, man.
Yeah,
the electric
B3
ones.
Hammond, man.
Oh yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It's just like it's so awesome. And then just like the massive chorus. And in this church, it was funny. There was like a token white guy who was dancing right along.
Oh yeah, he was killing it. I remember him.
So anyway, I discovered that in part because of this list of composers that I should know, because of course that's what I'm doing these days, because I'm doing the work to educate myself, because the systems that I went through didn't educate me well enough. This particular, yeah, that's what we're all doing right now, and you got to do it. It's a responsibility. And this particular musician, Damian Sneed, came up, and he is a multi-genre, just awesome guy. I mean, he's really active in New York. Jazz at Lincoln Center has a bunch of videos featuring him, specifically about like different ways to like take something from like a gospel hymnal, which is pretty simply written out if you look at the page, and quote unquote take it to church, which if you're a jazz musician means, maybe add a little rhythmic impetus to the music and flesh it out and add some other chords and maybe add some fills and runs and octave tremolos or whatever it might be. Watch some of his videos. But I YouTubed just his name to see what would come up, because most of the videos I was finding just on his website. And this was the first result. And it was premiered hours ago as a celebration of Juneteenth, where Damien is conducting a massive virtual ensemble of black and brown opera singers, with a pianist, performing what is affectionately known as the Black National Anthem, in what I think is an awesome display of solidarity and force and just musical amazingness. An amazing rendering. keeping with the theme. We've taken this too far. And I thought it was very powerful. And I was like, well, as me, like maybe I'll get the courage next week to play some gospel music or something, but not in a couple of hours. This was me talking to myself like a couple hours ago. So why not just let the people do it? And this isn't exactly gospel, but it was, Damien there's a video of him conducting this whole ensemble. And I just thought it was super powerful. There's a little intro at the beginning, kind of describing what's going on. And I think it's part of a series of videos. And there's, old absolute opera stars and people who are just beginning to find stardom. And it all sounds amazing. And there's actually one participant who we've met and chatted with. We haven't collaborated with him yet, but voice professor at UT, Donnie Ray Albert, which is awesome to see him in that. So I think we're just after the video, we're gonna call it the night. So if you want to chat with us during the video, we'll be on the chat. But otherwise, thanks everybody for joining us. And
thanks a lot.
Happy Juneteenth.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. And again, all donations today to Austin Justice Coalition. And
next week we're going to be an hour early, and you'll probably see some posts about that. We're going to be doing a special show on a chamber music series in Iowa. I will spare myself from getting the name wrong, and you'll hear about it later. But we're going to be on at about 6 p.m. Central Time, and the event is free to join on their sites, and I think we'll be able to stream it through ours too, but it will also be on theirs. So yeah, hope you can join us there, and then maybe you'll find some new music through their sites and the artists that they have playing on their live stream shows. So
all
Let's
right,
do it.
So with that, here's Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Hello everyone, it's time for the Purple Robe Song Series, and the theme for today is a song that can get me through a hard time. And the song I have chosen is Roland Carter's arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known in the Black community as the Black National Anthem. Now this is a song I grew up with and have always loved, and I particularly love Roland's arrangement of it. I think it is so exquisite, but it is the profound lyrics that so eloquently explain the beauty and the trials and tribulations of the Black American and the hope for the future. Now, because I was singing the Black National Anthem, I thought I would just ask some of my Black opera singing friends to come sing it with me. And they so graciously gave of their time and their voices and their talent. And I'm so grateful. I thank each and every one of them. I wish I could have had more. But since I called on them, you are in for a treat. I have some of the best opera singers that have ever graced any stage. I have legends, current stars, and upcoming stars. So I'm going to take off my purple robe and I'm going to join them in the chorus. So I hope you enjoy the Purple Robe Song Series presents Lift Every Voice and Sing.